Hey man, the moment you pull your energy back from a woman who was used to bathing in your presence, something inside her shifts in a way even she cannot explain. Because she never believed you would actually do it, she assumed your attention was permanent, something she could withdraw from the emotional bank whenever she felt bored, insecure, or lonely. But when that supply suddenly disappears, not in anger, not in revenge, but in quiet self-respect, it creates a void she doesn't know how to handle. Your absence becomes louder than any words you could have spoken, and she starts noticing the silence in places she once ignored your presence. That's when the confusion begins. Why isn't he giving me what he used to? And she feels a discomfort she has no control over. What really rattles her isn't the distance, it's the unpredictability. Women build their emotional stability around consistency, even if they claim they want spontaneity. Your predictable attention was her emotional anchor, the reassurance that no matter how she behaved, you'd still be there. But once that disappears, she's forced to confront the truth she buried beneath ego. She doesn't know where she stands anymore, and uncertainty is the one thing her mind cannot tolerate. That uncertainty grows into a buzzing loudness in her chest, a constant questioning that interrupts her day. She checks her phone more often, she thinks about what you're doing, she wonders if she misplayed her hand, and that internal uneasiness is the beginning of her unraveling. She never expected the emotional balance to shift. She always believed she could lean back, pull away, and still have unlimited access to your loyalty. That belief kept her relaxed, confident, even a little careless. But when you withdraw your energy without warning, she's no longer in control, and that loss of control hits her deeper than any argument ever could. Suddenly, the emotional terrain she once navigated effortlessly becomes unfamiliar. She can't read your intentions, she can't predict your moves, she can't feel your warmth, and the absence of what once felt guaranteed forces her into a kind of introspection that only happens when a man finally stops giving, and she realizes she took too much for too long. You want to know the part that drives her mind wild? It's not that you're gone, it's that you seem unaffected. A woman can emotionally handle a man who walks away in pain. She can handle a man who argues, who gets angry, who demands closure. But a man who simply detaches and moves forward with calm confidence, that terrifies her, because it means your emotional world no longer depends on hers. She sees you finding peace in places she never looked. She sees you growing without her encouragement. She sees you smiling in ways she never knew how to inspire. And she starts wondering if she ever mattered as much as she thought, or if you simply outgrew the version of yourself that needed her. And now she begins thinking about the smallest things. She replays old conversations. She rewatches your messages. She examines her behavior from days, weeks, months ago. She looks for clues, anything that explains how you went from attentive to quiet, from patient to indifferent, from available to selective. This internal searching doesn't bring her clarity, it brings her anxiety. Because the more she tries to analyze the shift, the more she realizes she never truly understood your emotional depth in the first place. She thought your attention came from weakness. Now she sees it came from choice. And a man who chooses to pull back is far more dangerous to her ego than a man who never cared. She starts noticing where your focus goes. Suddenly, everything about your life becomes interesting to her. The way you carry yourself, the discipline in your routine, the new confidence in your voice. She notices the glow that comes from a man who has reclaimed his emotional power. She notices the peace surrounding you, the steadiness in your presence, the self-control that wasn't there before. And that realization burns. She was the one who made you emotional, and now she's the one who pushed you into becoming stronger. She realizes she triggered your evolution, and that the man you've become is someone she can't influence anymore. What twists her inside out is watching you redirect your energy into your life instead of into her. She sees your attention going toward your goals, your growth, your health, your purpose. She sees you building the version of yourself she never believed you would become. She sees your emotional world thriving without her. And now she's confronted with a fear she can't hide from. The fear that the best version of you will belong to somebody else, someone who didn't have to break you first to unlock your strength. That possibility creates a deep sinking feeling she tries to bury, but it resurfaces every time she sees you leveling up. Her mind starts reaching for familiar strategies. She might post something provocative. She might act overly happy online. She might drop subtle hints or inside jokes. She might accidentally check your story the moment you post. She might send out energy designed to provoke jealousy. But those tactics don't work on the man you are now, because you've tasted the peace that comes from emotional detachment, and nothing she does can recreate the old version of you. And that's when her panic deepens, because she realizes she can no longer pull your strings with the effortless charm she once relied on. What truly pushes her toward emotional chaos is the shift in your tone. You're not bitter, you're not resentful, you're not hurt, you're simply unavailable. Your messages carry no emotional charge, your replies don't reveal longing, your energy isn't wrapped around her reactions. And because women are deeply attuned to emotional undercurrents, she feels the change immediately. She senses the distance not through your words, but through the absence of emotional weight behind them. And that absence gives her a feeling she hasn't confronted before, the possibility that you finally understand your worth. And here's the moment she truly begins to spiral. When she realizes the emotional pedestal she once stood on has been removed. She isn't the priority anymore. She isn't the focus. She isn't the anchor of your world. You've shifted your gravity. You've reclaimed your presence. You've taken your energy and poured it into your own growth. And that quiet transition forces her into the most difficult truth of all. She never had power over you. She only had access. And access is a privilege she lost the moment she stopped appreciating it. Now she feels the consequences of a man who finally chose himself, and nothing makes her lose her composure faster than that. What happens next inside her is something she will never admit to anyone, not her friends, not herself, not even the man she dates next. Because now she's experiencing a kind of emotional vacuum she never thought she'd feel because of you. She thought she could move on effortlessly, that she could replace your presence with distractions, validation, noise, or temporary excitement. But none of it fills the space your attention occupied. And the strange thing is, she didn't value that space when it was full. She valued it only after it became empty. Now the quiet starts echoing in her mind. Every time she picks up her phone and doesn't see your name, a subtle ache forms. Every time she posts something and you don't react, she feels a drop of disappointment she never felt before. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, your absence becomes her most consistent reminder that she no longer holds the power she thought she did. She begins replaying the moments when you were fully present for her, the times you listened, supported, reassured, laughed, cared. But now the memory isn't comforting, it's unsettling, because she can't understand how someone so emotionally invested could just detach so completely. She wonders if she misjudged your depth, if she underestimated your strength, if she failed to see the man behind the softness. It dawns on her that your attention wasn't some fragile attachment, it was a conscious offering from someone who loved hard, and now that you've withdrawn it, she finally sees the weight of what she lost. That realization hits like a punch to the chest, because she starts understanding that your emotional availability was not weakness, it was something rare. And here's where confusion turns into obsession. When she sees how stable you seem without her, she doesn't see you lashing out, or posting cryptic messages, or seeking sympathy. You don't argue, you don't demand answers, you don't chase closure. Instead, you move like a man who made peace with the ending. And that scares her more than anger ever could. Because anger still means attachment. Anger still means emotional investment. But peace? Peace means the emotional cord has been cut. Peace means you accepted her absence. Peace means you stopped depending on her validation. And nothing disturbs a woman more than seeing a man she once had full influence over, now walking freely, unshaken, unbent, untouched. Suddenly, she starts missing the smallest things: your advice, your stability, your masculine presence, the emotional safety you provided. Even if she's with someone else, she starts comparing that man to the memory of you. Not your flaws, but your strengths. The way you made decisions confidently, the way you stayed grounded when she was emotional, the way you understood her without her needing to explain, the way you remained patient even when she was difficult. And as she compares, she realizes something she tried to ignore. Not every man carries the emotional depth you had, and not every man offers the same level of devotion. This comparison becomes a silent torment. She never expresses publicly, but it silently erodes her pride. Her friends start noticing the shift in her energy. They see her more distracted, more anxious, more irritable. She may try to mask it with jokes, sarcasm, or fake confidence, but women can sense each other's emotional instability. She might deny it when they ask, but inside she knows exactly why she's unsettled, because the man she never thought would detach has become a mystery she can't decipher. Her friends will tell her, he's just busy, or he probably moved on, or it's his loss. But none of those words ease her discomfort, because what she fears isn't your absence, it's your transformation, and she feels it in her bones. The version of you she knew is gone, and the version of you now is one she no longer has access to. She starts testing the waters. Maybe she sends a subtle reaction to your story. Maybe she comments on something small. Maybe she sends a "hope you're doing well" message, not because she wants a relationship, but because she wants reassurance. She wants proof that she still has a place in your emotional world. She wants to know she didn't lose all her influence. But when your responses are calm, brief, or indifferent, she feels a sting she didn't expect. She was prepared for anger. She was prepared for questions. She was prepared for emotional intensity, but she wasn't prepared for neutrality. And that neutrality destabilizes her more than any emotional explosion ever would. As time passes, she begins understanding the truth she ignored. She wasn't special because you chased her. She was special because you chose to give her a side of you that most men never show. And she realizes she misinterpreted that gift as a guarantee. Now she sees the cost of her behavior. She sees how her inconsistent attention, her emotional games, her dismissiveness, her coldness all contributed to your withdrawal. And the moment she sees your growth, the discipline in your voice, the strength in your decisions, the maturity in your silence, she understands that she didn't just lose a man, she lost the best version of him, a version that will never exist for her again. This is when she finally understands the gravity of your absence, because your absence now has consequences. She sees you attracting other people naturally. She sees others valuing you effortlessly. She sees you glowing with confidence she never nurtured. She sees you building a life she no longer fits into. And with each passing day, the distance feels less like a temporary pause and more like a permanent shift. She begins feeling replaced, even if you haven't replaced her, because what replaced her wasn't another woman, it was your self-worth. Now she enters a strange emotional conflict. She wants to reach out, but her pride won't let her. She wants clarity, but she fears hearing the truth. She wants reassurance, but she doesn't know how to ask for it without exposing her vulnerability. So she keeps quiet and hopes you'll break the silence, but days turn into weeks, and weeks into months, and you continue living, not chasing, not waiting, not clinging to memories, and that quiet consistency shatters her illusions. Because she now sees that the emotional tie she believed was unbreakable was only unbreakable as long as you held it together. Her mind goes into overdrive. She imagines you falling in love with someone else. She imagines another woman receiving the softness she rejected. She imagines someone else benefiting from your patience, your presence, your loyalty. And these thoughts consume her, not because she wants you back, but because losing a good man to another woman is the deepest bruise the female ego can receive. She realizes she trained you, shaped you, inspired your evolution, but someone else might enjoy the improved version. And that makes her restless, because she didn't just lose a lover, she lost the emotional investment you carried, investment she foolishly believed she would always control. What happens next is the stage she thought she would never reach, the point where she begins questioning her own worth. Not because you criticized her, not because you attacked her confidence, but because your silence forces her to confront the version of herself she tried to hide beneath makeup, attention, and emotional games. When she had your presence, she never evaluated her own flaws. Your consistency made her feel safe enough to ignore them. But now, without the guarantee of your validation, she's suddenly staring at parts of herself she avoided. The impulsiveness, the ego, the dismissiveness, the way she pushed you away, expecting you to pull in harder. And this self-reflection isn't empowering for her. It's uncomfortable, painful, unsettling, because it reveals that she wasn't as irreplaceable as she believed. Your distance becomes a mirror she cannot look away from, and the reflection she sees forces her to accept that she miscalculated the emotional strength of the man she thought would always remain within her reach. The deeper she sinks into reflection, the more she begins romanticizing the moments she once overlooked. She remembers the late-night conversations, the way you listened even when you were tired, the way you steadied her during her emotional storms, the way she felt protected in your presence. But now, those memories don't bring her peace, they bring her discomfort, because she realizes she didn't give even half of what she received. She realizes you were patient with her when she wasn't patient with herself. She realizes you offered understanding when she offered confusion. She realizes you provided emotional stability while she created chaos. And now, with your presence gone, those memories turn into reminders of how unfairly she treated you. This internal guilt becomes a knot in her stomach that refuses to loosen because she sees too late the man she lost through her own inconsistency. As this guilt grows, she begins to experience a new type of fear, not fear of losing you romantically, but fear of no longer existing meaningfully in your life. Women can handle losing relationships. They cannot handle becoming irrelevant to a man who once prioritized them. She starts imagining scenarios where you no longer think about her, where you no longer check her posts, where you've emotionally moved so far ahead that she could disappear from the world and it wouldn't stir anything inside you. That sense of irrelevance feels like erasure. It makes her panic internally because she always assumed that no matter what happened, she would have a place in your mind, and now she's realizing she has no guaranteed place at all because your distance reveals how easily a man can reclaim his world once he stops allowing someone else's presence to dictate it. What intensifies her internal chaos is the possibility that another woman might be receiving the version of you she never nurtured. She imagines someone else appreciating your effort instead of criticizing it, someone else valuing your consistency instead of ignoring it, someone else seeing your worth rather than testing it. And although she may not want you back, the thought of another woman benefiting from the emotional labor she took for granted burns deeply. It makes her feel as if she unintentionally trained you for someone else, shaped your patience for someone else, sharpened your emotional intelligence for someone else. And that realization bruises her ego because she believed she would always own a piece of your emotional identity. But now she sees that another woman might become the home you finally choose, a home she lost before she even realized it existed. At this point, her thoughts become cyclical. She starts browsing old pictures, rereading old messages, revisiting moments she dismissed while she had them. She wants to forget you, but every attempt only strengthens the memory of your presence. She tries distracting herself with social media, dates, friends, but none of it numbs the feeling your silence created. It's not heartbreak, it's unfinished emotional dependence, and dependence doesn't disappear just because she tried to detach first. In fact, your distance forces her to experience the same emotional withdrawal she made you feel before. This is where she realizes that emotional power is not held by the one who cares the least, but by the one who learns to walk away gracefully. And you walked away with a grace she never expected from you. Now she begins feeling resentment, not toward you, but toward herself. She resents her own arrogance, resents the way she dismissed your effort, resents the way she thought your patience was infinite, resents the game she played, resents the coldness she used as a weapon. She resents the way she underestimated your capacity to grow. And this resentment doesn't remain quiet. It begins spilling into her interactions with other people. She becomes shorter, more irritable, easily triggered, emotionally sensitive. People around her feel the shift, but don't know its root. But she knows. She knows that the calm man she once had access to has turned into the version of himself she always claimed she wanted, except now he exists outside her reach. She begins imagining what would happen if you two met again, whether accidentally or intentionally. She thinks about what she would say. She rehearses versions of the conversation in her head. Maybe she'd pretend she's fine. Maybe she'd act like she's over it. Maybe she'd tell you she's been growing and healing. But deep down, she knows she wouldn't be able to hide the truth. That seeing you again, standing strong and quietly distant, would shake her more than losing you ever did. Because seeing the new you would confirm something she's been trying to deny. She didn't just lose a man she cared about. She lost the emotional version of him, who cared about her more than she cared about herself. She now enters the emotional bargaining stage. She starts wondering if she should reach out, if she should say something honest, if she should apologize. She picks up her phone, writes a message, deletes it, writes again, deletes again. She fears vulnerability, but she fears losing the last thread of connection even more. Yet her pride won't let her admit any of this, so she chooses silence, hoping you'll somehow feel her emotional shift and initiate contact first. But you don't. You stay steady. You stay silent. You stay committed to your growth. And every day you remain silent, another piece of her confidence crumbles. Now she begins experiencing a type of emotional regret that stays with women for years, the regret of mishandling a man who was emotionally safe, unconditionally loyal, genuinely devoted. She sees the men around her, emotionally immature, inconsistent, impatient, and suddenly she begins appreciating the stability you offered. Stability she once found boring. Stability she once rejected. Stability she once took for granted. Now she sees its value, and that recognition becomes a permanent reminder of the man she lost. not to another woman, but to her own inability to appreciate him when she had the chance. And finally, she reaches the point where she understands the difference between losing someone and being forgotten by them. Losing you meant the relationship ended. Being forgotten by you means the emotional connection died. And there is no pain sharper to a woman who once felt desired than realizing she is no longer even a thought in the mind of the man who once adored her. And that is the moment she truly goes insane, not because you hurt her, but because she now sees the irreversible truth. You were never trapped by her presence, she was anchored by your attention. And once you took that away, she lost the emotional structure she built her confidence on. Now she's left with an emptiness she created and a man she can never get back. And now, this is the stage where she truly starts to unravel, because the silence she once dismissed as a temporary shift now feels permanent. She begins realizing that there is no hidden strategy behind your distance, no emotional test, no dramatic build-up. You simply released her from the center of your life, and she never prepared for that. She thought she had more time, more control, more unspoken privilege in your heart. But as days go by and your energy stays calm and stable, she feels something unfamiliar growing inside her: helplessness. Not the dramatic kind she can cry about with friends, but the internal kind. The kind that sits in her chest and whispers, "He really doesn't need me anymore." And that thought shakes the emotional foundation she built her identity on. Because for the first time, she's forced to face a version of you that exists fully without her. As that helplessness settles, she begins rewriting your past through a different lens. Suddenly, the memories she once shrugged off feel heavier. The times you waited for her, now she sees your patience. The times you checked on her, now she sees your effort. The times you tried to resolve conflicts calmly, now she sees your maturity. Every overlooked moment now returns like a ghost, not to haunt her with nostalgia, but to confront her with reality. She can't escape the truth anymore. She wasn't the victim of your detachment, she was the architect of it. And this realization hits deeper than heartbreak, because it isn't about losing love, it's about losing the respect of a man who once saw the world in her eyes. She starts searching for signs that you still care. The smallest things become emotional triggers, whether you viewed her story, how long you took to respond, the tone of your replies, whether your messages used to have emojis that you no longer use. She studies your behavior with the intensity of someone trying to decode a language she once spoke fluently. But this time, she finds nothing. No hidden softness, no lingering attachment, no subtle invitation to return. Your energy remains steady. Your focus remains forward. Your peace remains unshaken. And the absence of emotional breadcrumbs forces her into a deeper confusion. She cannot escape. Now her mind begins to split into two conflicting narratives. One part tells her you're doing this intentionally, that you're trying to appear strong, that you're hiding your feelings. She clings to this narrative because it protects her ego. But the other part, the part she avoids, whispers a different truth. He's actually moved on internally. She feels that truth in the tone of your voice, in the calmness of your responses, in the steadiness of your routines, and that truth terrifies her because she realizes she no longer has emotional ownership over you. You no longer orbit her. You no longer react as expected. You no longer treat her as the emotional priority she believed she would always be. This is where jealousy hits, not jealousy of another woman, but jealousy of your growth. She watches you evolve without her. She sees your lifestyle improving. She sees your confidence rising. She sees your emotional world flourishing in ways she never inspired. And suddenly she feels overshadowed by the man you've become. She wonders how much of your transformation was caused by her absence. She wonders if she was holding you back without realizing it. She wonders if leaving your life was the reason you finally became the man she subconsciously wanted you to be. That thought bruises her deeply, because it suggests that the best version of you emerges only when she's no longer a part of your world. Her subconscious now begins to view your silence as something sacred, something she violated. She starts to see how valuable your peace actually was. She sees how your presence once balanced her chaos. She sees how your emotional stability once grounded her. She sees how your love filled cracks she didn't know she had. And now, with that love gone, she feels the internal gaps widening. She feels the instability she used to soothe with your affection. She feels the emptiness she used to ignore because your presence kept her full. And now she realizes that the calm she once took for granted was never guaranteed. It was a gift she squandered. Now she begins comparing her current emotional state to the peace you maintain. While she feels restless, you remain centered. While she overthinks, you stay clear. While she replays the past, you focus on the future. While she imagines scenarios, you live in reality. This contrast makes her feel something she rarely feels toward a man she once dismissed. Respect, not admiration. Respect. Because there's a kind of strength in a man who can detach without bitterness, who can walk away without chaos, who can rebuild without resentment. That strength becomes deeply attractive to her, not because she wants you back, but because she finally recognizes the maturity she failed to appreciate before, and now she begins experiencing emotional flashbacks. Sudden moments where she remembers how safe she felt around you, how grounded your presence made her, how deeply she relied on your stability without acknowledging it. These flashbacks come at random moments, when she sees something you liked, when she hears a song, when she passes a place you once went together, when someone else fails to treat her with the same consistency you gave effortlessly. Every small trigger becomes a reminder that she lost something rare, something she thought would always exist around her. That's when regret evolves into longing, longing evolves into internal panic, and panic evolves into a desire she can't express without exposing her vulnerability. She may try dating someone new at this stage, hoping it will distract her from the emotional void your silence created, but every new interaction highlights what she lost. These new men lack your emotional intelligence, they lack your calmness, they lack your ability to communicate from a place of grounded masculinity. They lack your patience. They lack the depth of understanding you once gave naturally. And as she compares these men to you, she realizes she didn't just lose a partner, she lost a standard that no one else effortlessly reaches. And that realization doesn't make her want to return. It makes her realize how immature her choices were when she had you. And here's the most devastating psychological truth for her. Once a man removes his emotional presence, he becomes a mystery again. The same mystery she was drawn to in the beginning. Except now, the mystery is rooted in independence instead of infatuation. You're no longer the man who chased. You're no longer the man who explained. You're no longer the man who reacted. You've become the man who chooses carefully, gives sparingly, and values selectively. And that transformation makes her feel something she hasn't felt since the start. The fear of losing you. Not losing your body, not losing your affection, not losing the idea of you, but losing the privilege of existing inside your emotional world. And that, brother, is the moment she finally breaks internally. Now she enters the stage where her mind turns against her, not because you're doing anything, but because you're doing nothing at all. That nothingness becomes the loudest thing in her life. She starts waking up with a heaviness she can't explain. The mornings used to feel light because she knew, without saying it, that somewhere out there you were thinking about her. But now, the emotional certainty she once depended on has evaporated. She checks her phone, not out of curiosity, but out of dread, because every minute that passes without your name appearing is another reminder that the connection she assumed she owned has slipped out of her hands. She begins questioning herself in ways she never did before. Was I too cold? Did I push him too far? Did I underestimate him? And the more she asks, the more she realizes how little she understood the depth of the man she lost. She might still pretend she's unfazed online, posting pictures with a practiced smile, showing off a life that looks glamorous from the surface. But beneath that facade is a quiet storm, because every attempt to portray confidence only highlights the emptiness she feels when the notifications fade. Women can manipulate attention, but they cannot replace the attention of the man who once cared deeply. She scrolls through her own pictures, wondering if you've seen them. She checks who viewed her stories. She looks for your presence out of habit. And when she realizes you didn't watch, didn't react, didn't even flinch, that's when the panic truly sets in. Because silence from a man she believed she could always pull back is more emotional pressure than any argument she ever experienced. Her dreams betray her now. She starts having random flashes of you, the way you laughed, the way you spoke, the way you used to look at her, like she mattered more than she admitted. Those memories hit her unexpectedly, while she's brushing her teeth, while she's riding in the car, while she's listening to a song you both liked. And the more these moments intrude, the more she realizes she never actually moved on. She just moved forward without processing anything. She pushed you away, thinking she could outrun the deeper feelings, but now with nothing anchoring her emotionally, all those buried memories rise to the surface. It's not nostalgia, it's the emotional bill for everything she ignored while you were still present. She begins to lose control of her composure. Even simple questions from friends can trigger her. Have you talked to him? Do you ever miss him? What happened between you two? She shrugs it off and says she's fine, but internally she's unraveling. Because she doesn't miss the relationship, she misses the emotional safety you provided. She misses the version of herself that felt seen, understood, prioritized. She misses the way your presence calmed her. Women rarely understand how deeply they depended on a man's emotional stability until he stops offering it. Your distance exposes her emotional immaturity, her lack of emotional independence, her dependence on your presence, and that exposure makes her feel naked inside her own mind. As her internal world destabilizes, she begins projecting it externally. She becomes harsher with the men around her. She becomes irritated by small things. She becomes less patient, more reactive, more emotionally unpredictable. And deep down, she knows why, because she's comparing every man she meets to the man you've become. Not the man you were when she had you, but the man you are after she lost you. The quiet confidence, the emotional control, the masculine presence, the spiritual calm. Her frustration isn't with others, it's with herself, because she realizes she pushed away a man she now recognizes as rare, and that recognition feels like a wound she inflicted upon her own future. Now she starts crafting rationalizations to protect her ego. She tells herself, "You're pretending to be fine." She tells herself, "You're emotionally detached because you're hurt." She convinces herself, "You're acting strong to make her chase." These comforting narratives are band-aids over a deeper truth she can't accept yet. You stopped needing her. Your world no longer revolves around her emotional presence. You don't crave her validation. You no longer look for her approval. And that's the part her mind can't handle. The idea that you outgrew her before she even realized you were leveling up. The man who once wanted her has become the man who doesn't look back. Every time she considers reaching out, her pride holds her back, but only for a moment. The desire grows stronger each day. She retypes the same message 20 different ways. "Hey, how have you been? I miss talking to you. I've been thinking," but she can't bring herself to send any of them because she fears two outcomes equally. You responding with indifference or you not responding at all. Either outcome would confirm her worst nightmare, that she is no longer emotionally relevant to you. So instead of reaching out, she continues silently breaking down, hoping you will make the first move, but you don't. And your lack of initiation becomes the final confirmation that she truly lost you. This is when the truth finally settles in, a truth she avoided for months. You didn't change because of her absence. You changed because her absence forced you to return to yourself. And that transformation is what terrifies her the most, because deep down she always believed she had the power to influence you. She believed she could emotionally guide, shape, or control your reactions. But now she's witnessing a version of you that exists independently, a version she can't manipulate, a version she can't guilt trip, a version she can't pull back with compliments or excuses. You've become emotionally sovereign, and emotional sovereignty is the one thing she cannot overpower. Now she fears something deeper than losing you. She fears being replaced by someone more deserving. She imagines another woman benefiting from the emotional maturity she forced you to develop. She imagines someone else receiving the gentleness she once criticized. She imagines someone else experiencing your loyalty, your devotion, your protection. She imagines someone else becoming your peace, a position she forfeited without understanding its value. And the more she imagines, the more she realizes that losing your love wasn't the real tragedy. Losing the chance to be loved by the man you've become is what truly breaks her. And here is the final truth, the truth she cannot escape, the truth that keeps her awake long after the rest of the world falls asleep. She didn't go insane because you left. She went insane because you no longer look back. She didn't break down because you stopped trying. She broke down because you stopped needing her emotionally. She didn't spiral because you ignored her. She spiraled because your silence came from growth, not anger. And growth is irreversible. She realizes now that she lost a man who genuinely cared, a man who gave without hesitation, a man who loved without fear, and she knows she will never experience that version of you again. Because once a man learns to control his attention, he becomes untouchable, and she lost the privilege to touch the world you now live in.